Hey there, everybody. This is Ismay, and I'm here at Folk Alliance International, hanging out with these cool cats at Salt Lick Sessions. Music started for me when I was growing up. I was 8 years old when my grandfather started Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, which is a free roots festival in San Francisco. And so I started attending when I was really young. But to tell you the truth, as I was growing up, I never pictured myself being a musician. To me, it was like there was our family put on the festival and the musicians were separate and they were amazing. And I was, whatever, just a person. And I remember being so jealous because there was this young band called the Peasall Sisters that were in Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and they got to perform. I was like, I want to do that. But anyways, there was a line drawn. And then when I was about 19 years old, my grandfather, who started the festival, passed away. And we celebrated his life, did a bunch of concerts. And one of the beautiful things that came out of that was that his band, he was in a bluegrass band, started mentoring me and bringing me in. And so I started playing bluegrass music with them. And that's when sort of I crossed the line to being like, oh, I could be a musician. I could be doing this like these people. And then I had this incredible community to connect with because of the festival.
Very cool. And you write gorgeous songs. Can you talk to us a little bit about that process?
I love songwriting. It's my favorite part of playing music, I would say. It's something I dedicate the most energy to. For me, songwriting started out as being, I would almost say like this outpouring of my inner life. I'm kind of a person who doesn't really good at voicing what I really think. And I think the songwriting process allowed me to be in touch with different sides of myself and different parts of my personality. And so, initially it was sort of therapeutic, as it is for many people, but it was aspirational too, because I looked up to so many other songwriters. And so, but then over the years, it went from being a sort of outpouring of like this waterfall of my inner life into also being more of a craft and a practice. I started taking really seriously the songwriting craft and the time I put into it. And now for me, it's just a really key part of, again, my inner life, but I really see it as sort of my special thing that I bring to the world.
So as you were starting to study songwriting, what songwriters were you listening to?
When I was starting to do songwriting, I definitely started by listening to a lot of roots artists. And a lot of indie artists. I was right around that time when sort of like the indie revolution in music was taking place. And so I started by listening to, traditional bluegrass, traditional time music. And then I learned music from Alison Krauss and Emmylou Harris and Hazel Dickens. And those were sort of the leads, Townes Van Zandt, a lot of the, classic songwriters. And, but also I was influenced by these more alternative people like Cat Power or, Sufjan Stevens or something like that. And so I was kind of trying to bridge those worlds. I was learning to play music in the world of roots, more traditional music, and then I had this love for alternative music that was sort of hard to define. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I drew from. But I would say definitely the first songs I really learned were really based on, traditional bluegrass music.
And are there some moments in your career that you're most proud of to this point?
I would say one moment that I'm really proud of in my career is I did this really small festival that doesn't happen anymore with my friend Hassan, and he said to me that, it was either him, he said to me or a friend, he was like, the great thing about you, Avery, is the people you surround yourself with are good people. And to me, that was like, wow, like that's what I want. I want good people to be part of a community and be supported and feel like that the being a good person is incentivized in arts, in our creativity, that it's a collaborative thing, and that people see one another as a team working towards something really positive and transformative. And then that's probably even one of my proudest moments. But in terms of music, like my own performing, that's a good question. My proudest moment, I would say my proudest moment in music is probably the moment when I was able to start writing songs from a part of myself that I was super detached from. I mean, in like Jungian psychology, they'd probably call it like your shadow. And to see myself writing from this perspective of my shadow was like fascinating. And that's more of a recent thing. But instead of writing from this place of what I should be and who I am outwardly, I'm able to be in this touch with part of my psyche that's sort of hidden. And that's, I don't know, I'm proud of the fact that I've written so many songs. I've written hundreds of songs, and I've been able to get in touch with these different parts of myself.
Very cool. So who's on your playlist now? Who are you listening to these days?
Oh, good question. So I love to create a new playlist of my favorite songs every year of sort of what I'm listening to, and it's always a mix of new and old. But I've been listening to this album by Caroline Rose that just recently came out. That's fantastic. I've also been listening to Dory Freeman. She has this song called I Am that I just like immediately loved. I'm a huge fan of Golden Hour by Casey Musgrave, so I've been listening to that a lot. And then I've also been listening to X, the punk band. I missed that boat. They came around before I was around. And then I opened a show for John Doe, who's in that band. And I just love the music. Like, punk is so outside of my world because I was in the bluegrass roots world. And it's so much fun to, as an adult. You know, normally punk is kind of geared towards like the angry, whatever, 18-year-olds. But I missed the boat. I was too sentimental. But that's been really fun to listen to.
Very cool. So what's on your bucket list to come? What do you see for yourself for the next 1, 5, 10 years?
On my bucket list. I think one thing that's new to my bucket list is, I don't know if it's too small, but I really want to learn. There's this band Pentangle that I've just recently gotten into, and they have these incredible YouTube videos of these live performances they have. I think it's mostly in the 70s. And my next goal is I really want to learn those songs because their arrangements are really weird in a really good way. It's sort of like they were playing folk rock before folk rock was invented. And so they were playing old time music with drums and weird bass and weird guitar. And so that's my next goal is I feel like I want to challenge myself not to just keep writing more and more songs, even though that's great. I've written a lot of songs. I kind of want to go back and learn from some of these bands that I, can really hear something special about. And I love when you hear from a band something you can't put your finger on. You're like, wait, I haven't heard this before. This is really strange. How did they do this? And then deconstructing that and learning that. I don't know. That's probably a big goal of mine.
So what would 8-year-old Avery think about, who's at the festival saying, I'm on the business side, I'm helping, I'm a promoter, this is what my family's doing, this is what I'm doing, and seeing yourself now, what do you think 8-year-old Ismay would think?
Okay. I think if I looked back to my 8-year-old self, I would be so shocked. It never occurred to me when I was that age that I would ever be a professional musician. I liked musical theater kind of, but I never got any good parts because everybody would be like, you sing too country. And I'm like, okay. So nobody wanted me in their musical. But I think I would be really surprised. I mean, I hope I would be proud of myself. I hope I would be proud of the way that I've, tried to bring out the best in other people as collaborators. That would be my hope that I would look back at myself with.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. You're such a talent, and this was so much fun. So thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. It's a blast.
Hey, stunning people. If you're loving our music, make sure to give us a like and a subscribe. And comment below who you want to see next.